What is up, guys? I'm Ryan from Iron Health Fitness. Thanks for coming back. I appreciate you. And today is Friday. Well, at least it is when I'm filming. And I love Fridays, right? For so many reasons. So I got some good energy. And what I want us to go through is some elbow pain. How to fix it, how I've fixed it many a times, and how you can fix it. Whether or not it's inside, outside, we're gonna cover it all. So let's get right into it. So off the bat, I think we do need to talk about the elephant in the room, right? The one that's sitting, it's like right over there in that corner, right? And it's that the elbow, because sometimes there's some dirty connotations. There's a couple things I think of in my mind. And if any of you are around my age, you probably remember when we used to have the old flip phones, right? And then you'd like bend your elbow to where it looked like a butt, and you'd like send it to your buddy or like your girlfriend at the time, right? These kind of things, right? So that's one. And the number two is probably more commonly known. It's that people call parts of the elbow, which actually I had to look this up. I didn't know exactly what part this was, what people refer to as this, but they call it the weenus, right? And you're like, well, that's like, sounds like some other thing. So good old Urban Dictionary, always having our back, right? So technically, weenus is actually just this loose skin that you have. And I found out that I actually have like quite a bit. And Urban Dictionary said it's the loose skin on your elbow that also sounds similar to other things that guys have that they also do this with, but it's the loose skin on your elbow that you can compare to others. So I'll let you in your own mind think about what guys might also compare size of, right? And these kind of things that sound similar to weenus. But that's neither here nor there. What we're gonna talk about is medial epicondylitis or lateral epicondylitis, which is a fancy way of saying it hurts really freaking bad here or it hurts really freaking bad here. And I've had both of these pains, right? This one is more of a golfer elbow, right? Because as you come through with your follow through and digging into the ground to get your divot, it's just a lot of these muscles. So these would be your flexors of your forearm. They all basically insert into a common insertion point here. So that's where you're gonna be feeling the pain, especially when you're doing this movement here. That's gonna cause some reproduction of the symptoms. And then some tennis elbow, right? When you're doing your mean backhands, that's actually gonna be lateral epicondylitis because all of the extensors, so when I do this with my wrist, are all gonna basically go into this tendon insertion. So like I said, I've had both, and I wanna show you how to fix it. We're starting with level 1, which is very accessible to almost everybody. You don't really need any tools at all for the job. And then we'll go to level 2, which you will need something that probably a lot of people don't have. But my suggestion is that you highly pick it up. It's not expensive, and I've used it for so many different injuries. So let's do it. All right, so level 1. And obviously, if you start looking anything like this up, like I did, I had to refresh, right, my memory on some of these. All the suggestions are gonna be ice, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, right, NSAID, medication, rest, and then it kind of starts getting into more like surgical or like interventions where you need to go to the actual doctor. Those are all good and fine if that's really your course of action, but my course of action is always what can I do on my own, like day of. I hurt my elbow, or maybe I had a workout where now my elbow is a little flared up, right? I wanna be able to do something where I don't have to go to the doctor or take medications. So my first intervention for pain, especially if it's acute, is always something I can do on my own, in my home, right? A little rhyme for you. And if you haven't checked out my back pain video, I'll link it right here. It's gonna involve this tool again. But for level 1, all you're gonna need is a lacrosse ball, tennis ball, even a foam roller would work. But I'm gonna use my trusty dusty 2 lacrosse balls, right, that I tape with KT tape. So first we're gonna go through if you have pain on the inside of your elbow. So all you're gonna do is come here on a bench or any table. And then I like to have my wrist be able to be free, as you'll see in a second. And then I put as much weight as I can, basically my body weight. And I'm gonna roll back and forth on all of those flexor tendons. And to kind of make it a little more efficacious, what I'm gonna do as I'm rolling is flex my wrist in and out like this. And you can kind of adjust the angle to get on more of the flexor tendons. And then I'll roll back, maybe 10, 20 times just while flexing my wrist like this. And I've honestly had a lot of luck doing just that. And obviously if it's on the outside of your elbow, same kind of thing. You're gonna lean on it like this, get it on all those tendons, and then for this one, you're actually gonna extend. And you'll know you're doing it right because when you extend your wrist or flex it for the other version, you're gonna feel a lot more tension. So that's always my first step, especially if it's an acute elbow pain. I'll do that maybe 2 to 3 times a day until it's gone. So I'll keep doing it. When it's flared up, I'm not gonna stop lifting. Unless it's something I have, like it's such severe pain while I'm lifting that I can't bear it. Most of these injuries are just little nagging micro tears, and it's not necessarily something you have to stop working out for. And so that's why little, interventions like this takes very little time. You can do it every day and you don't have to stop working out. All right, if you're like me, level 1's not good enough, right? You wanna always be improving. So we wanna make it to level 2. And for that, you will need, like I said, another tool, but it's not expensive. And I have it right here in my pocket. And I'm not a magician, but that looked pretty cool, I'm sure. So what you wanna do with this is Voodoo floss. It's basically just a latex rubber and it's really stretchy. I've used this literally elbow, wrist, knee, ankle, foot. I've used this on so many body parts and have had such good results from it that I've suggested it. I mean, my dad has some, my mom, a lot of my buddies, and this is almost always my go-to intervention for anything that's acute pain. So what you wanna do with this in general is always wrap towards your heart. So we're gonna start distal, or basically away from wherever it hurts. So let's say we have elbow pain here. Okay, I'm gonna come down here. You basically gotta trap the first little wrap. And then what I'm looking for is a 50-50 rule, meaning, get it tight here, meaning this is 100% stretch, we're gonna go 50, and then I want 50% overlap of the latex. So 150, boom. And we're wrapping it all the way up the arm, all the way to where it hurts. Obviously don't wrap it over your elbow because then you're not gonna be able to really bend your elbow. Go a little higher here. And then you gotta tuck the tail. Doesn't come unraveled on you, which is sometimes easier said than done. Okay, so we tuck the tail. Now, the nice thing is level 1, it just blends perfectly into level 2, right? It's like I thought about this. All you do is the exact same thing, but now with this wrap on, it's just gonna be a lot more intense. So, put just as much body weight as I did before, and rolling and flexing. If my hand starts looking freaky, don't worry, it's part of the process. But I would say if you've never done something like this before, I'd do it about a minute max because it will start to feel kind of weird. So I'm just rolling back and forth, similar to how I would if I just had the ball. But with these wraps, there's a lot of theory of how these kind of things work, but it's almost kind of like a pain modulation of like you are almost creating pain by rolling on it and by restricting blood flow. And then when you unleash it, more blood rushes in and your brain is not as aware, I guess is a way to think about it. So that would obviously be for medial or golfer elbow. And then if we want tennis elbow, just flip it over, same kind of thing. And you're extending with this one. And then after a minute or two, take it off. You can have some really cool stripes, right? You can look like a freaking tiger or a zebra or something, whatever has stripes, right? All right, let's wrap this video up like a Chipolte burrito, which actually does sound very good right now. Yes, it pretty much always sounds good, let's be honest, if you're me. But for elbow pain, I don't care if it's medial, I don't care if it's lateral. This would be my first step every single time. You could use just a lacrosse ball like I showed you. This is just gonna have a little bit more surface area on all the tendons. You're trying to target all of your flexors if you have inside elbow pain, and then all of your extensors if you have outside elbow pain. Level 1 will work fine, but honestly, picking up some of that Voodoo floss for level 2, you're just gonna have that much more bang for your buck. And I'm all about bang for my buck. And like I said, I've used it wrist pain, elbow pain, knee pain, ankle pain, all kinds of things. I've gotten a bunch of my friends and family to get it as well. It's just one of those very universal things that really there's not much downside. Unless you wrap it around your neck, that's gonna cause some issues, so please don't do that. And with that, like I said, always wrap towards your heart. You're basically trying to drain the lymph. I put that in quotations because there's not studies showing that, right? So you gotta be careful how matter-of-factly we're speaking about this, but anecdotally, or anecdata, right, as people would say, I have found a lot of use for it. And it honestly has helped me many a times when I've had just nagging injuries. I do it 2 to 3 times a day, 2 to 3 days in a row, boom, I'm ready to go. So if you like these kind of videos, please subscribe. I'm gonna keep doing more of these. I want to get everybody out of pain, or at least make them knowledgeable enough where they don't think they can't go to the gym. Because that was always one of my problems, is that if anything hurt when I first started lifting, I was like, oh, I can't, I gotta rest, I gotta ice, I gotta take NSAIDs. No, screw all that. To be honest, that never helped me. That always set me back more than it set me up. And I'm trying to set you up. So until next time, we out.